Hello and welcome here now. So today I'm going to talk about Adho Mukha Svanasana, or else downward facing dog. I think it's a very famous pose. It's one of my favorite. It really gives a nice stretch to the body and strengthens the arms and the legs. And what I have in mind today is give some extra ways of practicing Adho Mukha Svanasana by using some props. And as I have done in previous videos, at the end of this video I will talk about the benefits of Adho Mukha Svanasana. So if you're ready, open your yoga mats and let's start. So before getting into more detail with using the props and practicing this pose, let's first of all just have the experience of Adho Mukha Svanasana and let's see how it feels for our body. So kneel down and come at the one end of your yoga mat in Adho Mukha Virasana. Bring your big toes together, leave your knees apart. Straighten your arms, press the palms down, and also let your forehead on the floor. Stay here for a few breaths, stretch the sides of your trunk, and leave the weight of the pelvis to your heels. Now bring the weight to the arms, tuck your toes under and straighten the knees, bring your pelvis up. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this is the pose we will be talking about today. Stay here for a few breaths, straighten your arms, press the palms down and push the floor. Bring your weight back to your legs. Keep the pelvis high. Open the back of the knees. And keep your feet parallel. And for a moment, notice here how you feel in this pose. Maybe it's difficult for you to straighten the legs. Maybe it's difficult for you to carry the weight of your body. Now walk your feet towards your arms. Stay here in Uttanasana with a concave back. Keep your legs perpendicular to the floor. Lift the thighs up. If you cannot reach the floor here, you can always place your hands on your legs. So we go to Adho Mukha Svanasana from Adho Mukha Virasana, which is one way to get in the pose. Another way is to get in the pose from Uttanasana, from where we are now. So just bend your knees, place your palms down, and take a big step back to get in the pose again, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And again, stay here for a few breaths. Adho Mukha Svanasana is a very nice pose to warm up. That's why we usually do it in the beginning of our practice. Again, keep your feet parallel. Look at your big toes, make sure that they're in one straight line. See that the outer edges of your feet are parallel
with the outer edges of your mat. Straighten the legs, open the back of the knees. If your heels are not touching the floor here, don't worry. You can just leave them higher up. Keep your pelvis high, straighten the back. Keep your lower ribs in. Rotate out your shoulders and press the palms down. And more specifically, make sure that you are pressing in between the base of your index and thumb. Okay, and now just bring your knees down and come back again to Adho Mukha Svanasana and rest here for a few breaths.
Okay, so this was the alignment for Adho Mukha Svanasana, or at least one way to work, because there are always many ways to work an asana, and each way it just offers something different. But now let's dive into more detail regarding the props. So what happens in Adho Mukha Svanasana, what we want is to bring the weight of our body to the legs, towards the legs. I don't want to bring all the weight of the body on my hands, but the contrary, I want to push the floor, take the weight back, and I want to keep my pelvis high up, okay? So one way to work this and to have a better understanding how to activate the legs and how to keep the weight of the body towards the legs, it's by using the wall as a prop. So for this variation that I'm going to show you now, we're going to need 2 bricks. I have here my wooden bricks, but of course you can use foam blocks, or if you don't have, you can also use just 2 books. If you use books, make sure that they are the same height. So what I'll do here is I will place the bricks flat on the floor and to the wall. I'll keep them in approximately shoulder width apart, so that I place my hands on top of the bricks and again come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So now what I've done is that I've raised my arms, and actually I have changed a little bit the geometry of the pose. And here you can try it and see and feel also for yourself what's the difference by practicing this pose with the bricks. But what happens now is that I want to activate my legs and I want to bring the weight of my body towards the legs. So by raising my hands on the bricks is that I help with this activation. And it also helps to open the back of the legs more easily. Okay, I can stay for a few breaths and then come down. And another way that I can use the bricks is by raising them a little bit, like this. And now again, pressing my hands on the bricks. Now what I've done is that I've increased the horizontal vector to push my hands on. And again,
This way, getting into the pose helps me to activate the legs, and it also strengthens the thighs, the muscles of the thighs. And this way I can more easily learn how to bring the weight from my hands to the legs. Again, I can stay here for a few breaths. I can really feel the back of my legs opening. Although I have my heels on the floor, this doesn't mean that my legs are not working anymore. Of course, I can still continue working in this pose. And what I do now here is that I try to bring the front of my thigh to the back and to really open the back of my knees.
Okay, so another way now to use these same bricks is by placing the feet on the bricks. What happens is when we've learned to bring the weight from the hands to the legs, what we also want to do is keep the pelvis up. So this variation will help us with this understanding. So now what I'll do is that I'll bring my feet on the bricks and my heels to the wall. So this way I've raised my legs from the floor. Again, I have changed the geometry of the pose. And now I can be more sensitive with what happens to my pelvis. So I can really bring the pelvis high. Of course, again, I want to push with my hands the floor and bring the weight back to the legs. Okay. So with this next variation that I'm going to show you, where we will use the bricks again, is a very good variation for anyone that has difficulty activating the quadriceps. So this variation will really help to strengthen the legs and strengthen the quadriceps and activate even more the legs. It might be a bit more challenging, but you can try. I press my heels at the edges of the bricks, and what I do is that I lift the ball of the foot up. Again, I push the hands to the floor, bring the weight back, keep my pelvis high. Okay. So this was today's video. This was Adho Mukha Svanasana and different ways of practicing this pose for deeper understanding. And before I close this video, I would like to read to you the benefits of Adho Mukha Svanasana. Of course, as written by BKSA Iyengar on his book Light on Yoga. So he's saying, when one is exhausted, a longer stay in this pose removes fatigue and brings back the lost energy. The pose is especially good for runners who get tired after a hard race. Sprinters will develop speed and lightness in the legs. The pose relieves pain and stiffness in the heels and helps to soften calcaneal spurs. It strengthens the ankles and makes the legs shapely. The practice of this asana helps to eradicate stiffness in the region of the shoulder blades, and arthritis of the shoulder joints is relieved. The abdominal muscles are drawn towards the spine and strengthened. As the diaphragm is lifted to the chest cavity, the rate of the heartbeat is slowed down. This is an accelerating pose. Those who are afraid to do Sirsasana is the headstand, can conveniently practice this position. As the trunk is lowered in this asana, it is fully stretched and healthy blood is brought to this region without any strain on the heart. It rejuvenates the brain cells and invigorates the brain by relieving fatigue. Persons suffering from high blood pressure can do this pose. So all this good stuff just from one asana, from Adho Mukha Svanasana. This was today's video, this was today's asana. I hope you liked it, you learned something new. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and please do subscribe by pressing the red button on your right. I'm trying to upload 2 videos every week. I hope I can keep up with this. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Namaste.